Stugotz here. Don't you wish you were at the post office right now? Teasing. Me neither. Running a business or keeping up with your schedule takes a lot, and sometimes there just aren't enough hours in the day. You've got more important things to do. Of course you do. That's why you need Stamps.com. Anything you could do at the post office, you could do at Stamps.com. I love them. Their on-demand postage means you could skip that trip to the post office. Stamps.com brings all the services of the U.S. Postal Service right to your computer. Whether you're a small office sending invoices, an online seller shipping out products, or even a warehouse sending thousands of packages a day, Stamps.com can handle it all with ease. And time isn't the only thing you'll be saving. With Stamps.com, you can get 5 cents off every first-class stamp and up to 40% off shipping rates. Right now, our listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the home page, and type in Stu. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the home page and type in Stu. That's Stamps.com. Use code Stu. The Dan Le Batard with Stugotz Show podcast is presented by Capital One. This is Banking Reimagined.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your Sports Center update. The Big Ten, Big 12, SEC, and American Athletic Conference tournaments have been canceled. The WNBA, who currently has a majority of its players overseas, will continue its off-season events, including the draft. And finally, Will Ferrell turned down $29 million to do an Elf sequel. Wendy's has breakfast now. We're talking fresh cracked eggs on every breakfast sandwich. Yep, it's going to be America's favorite breakfast. Download the Wendy's app for deals on your new favorite breakfast. Yep, for this, see you at Wendy's in the morning, available at participating U.S. Wendy's. It's too many breakfasts in one paragraph. I could say it once and get away with it. That's like 5 of them, and I can't say that 5 times. For all the latest headlines and information, tune the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Guillermo, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Was Will Ferrell smart to turn down $29 million to do an Elf sequel? Chris Cody is really, at this point now, filled with terror. The more tournaments, it seems to me, as far as I can tell, that Chris Cody hasn't been paying attention to world news or science. It's just tournaments being canceled that has scared Chris Cody. Chris Cody was not scared before now. Maybe it started with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I was going to say, that definitely Tom Hanks.
It all started with Hanks, man. And I mean Hanks. When he signed off Hanks, that's where it all started.
Live nightclub just announced they are ceasing operations for the time
What?
being.
Oh, jeez.
That place is always filled with wonderful disease.
Oh, man.
What do you mean? What?
I mean, when Live closes, whew.
Wait a minute. I thought that Liv and Vince McMahon would be the only thing standing as everything got canceled.
And Skip Bayless.
Oh, Dan. Vince McMahon is still standing. Where some may see a pandemic, Vince McMahon may be very well seeing an opportunity. And I would love to be a fly on the wall at some of these conversations where it's explained to Vince McMahon that WrestleMania has to cease or be postponed, or that he can take advantage of a massive lane for any sporting event right now, the way that the PGA just did by announcing their tours will go on as planned just without attendees. You got to admit, if the XFL were somehow to go against, were allowed to go against what everything that's happening right now, ratings are going to be huge, man.
Yes.
Golf is in a unique lane. Like, nobody get near us. Just don't get close to us. We'll be fine. We're just going to take this stick and hit this ball and just stay away from us.
This is huge for darts, I imagine.
Nah, but darts. Have you ever seen like a big dart match? The crowd is right there.
Yeah, but you got to get rid of the crowds, but you can still watch.
But no sport is better set up, better suited for this than golf, right?
Golf is perfectly suited for this right now.
Maybe yachting or
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is darts going to be the biggest sport of the summer? Darts. I want to ask this question, Mike, and I think we can get an answer in the next hour. As these tournaments are being canceled, and these tournaments, for example,
MAC just canceled.
These tournaments knocked a lot of programming off of ESPN today, and now, what is ESPN going to do? Because right now, as my voice plays through the speakers in the Bristol bathroom where the executives hide to steal money from the company, I am offering our services to ESPN. We'll just keep talking here, and we will keep going. If you want to put us anywhere,
we will self-quarantine.
On ESPN, we will self-quarantine, and we will do show after. We have been preparing for this doomsday scenario with panic rooms. We have been those apocalypse shows that you see, those crazy people that are saving canned goods under the earth. We have so many canned goods here that we could do this show nonstop, like a Jerry Lewis telethon for about 7 months without worrying about anything, whether there's sports going on or not.
I get all the time slots. My dream.
Well, your dream is actually to be sent home lazily. Like you're angling.
That's all you're angling for.
I have a Comrex unit at home.
You continue to angle to just be at home. You want to speak into a microphone at home where they televise you nonstop on all the networks. But you are angling at every turn for time off. I can say
I'm here, man.
You're here today, but you're actively rooting for all of this to spread so that you can be sent home.
Instead of PTI,
so mean.
Instead of PTI next week will be the Art of Conversation. Now with director's commentary.
All right, yeah.
I can sit here and do sports television for you for a month nonstop here, just fooling around. I'm asking you, Mike, to find out for me what ESPN is now going to do from 4 to 6 p.m. Because their shows were knocked off by these tournaments that are now canceled. I'm genuinely curious as everyone scrambles on this. No one knows how to prepare for any of this. Are we just going to go live television to Carl Ravitch standing on an empty court talking nonstop about canceled tournaments?
Well, right now, we're still holding out on the ACC. The ACC still hasn't announced. SEC, Big Ten, and AAC, and as we just informed you, the MAC, they've all suspended play.
I think the Big East has a game going on right now. There's an actual game being played right now in the Big East tournament, yes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What are the teams?
I believe it's St. John's and...
Mike asking for in-game wagering. Mike is asking because a whole bunch of gamblers right now are like, yeah, they are Dave Chappelle scratching their neck.
Vegas is like, why is all this money coming in?
That is why Vince McMahon is out here saying, no, wait a minute, don't cancel anything here. I got wrestling, I got XFL, I got an opportunity here to make some big bank.
Nah, I'll be fine without sports gambling. I won't make a bet. How much do you want to bet me?
Pac-12 just canceled. But you still got that St. John's Creighton game going on.
Oh, man. I like the Jays. Been on them a couple times. They've been very, very good to me.
The Johnnies?
The Jays, man.
Who is the worst teammate ever?
You stand next to him.
Hey, thanks. I was waiting for someone to say it.
You're welcome.
I am curious, though, because Rudy Gobert's teammates, whether it's true or not, they have to be mad at him. They have to be. Because I honestly don't think it's fair to assume, I mean, the things that had to happen, I don't think it's fair to assume that Rudy Gobert got coronavirus while touching microphones and recorders of reporters in a press conference about the coronavirus. But he made such a show of touching a whole bunch of things, and ESPN and a bunch of other places have now played that video so many times that perception becomes reality, even though we don't actually know anything. And next thing you know, Sedano is calling for a suspension of Rudy Gobert for being so irresponsible. And now Woj is reporting that Donovan Mitchell has also tested positive for coronavirus. We do not know yet about Emmanuel Mudiay, but he was tested for the coronavirus.
I'm not saying what Gobert did was responsible or it wasn't good. And obviously, armed with hindsight, it looks terrible. But at the time he did it, Dan, which was Monday, there was a totally different attitude about the coronavirus. He was not alone in doing it. He wasn't. He wasn't alone in minimizing or mocking this. But obviously, once you test positive and your teammates get it.
Well, the chronology of events is pretty damning, Stugotz, whether it's true or not, right? Because yes. I understand that I've said for many years that perception is not reality. Reality is reality. But that does not matter to people who are not doing the math on that, who don't care about nuance and don't care about what can be proven and don't care about facts. Because the facts are we do not know how Rudy Gobert got this. The
right.
Facts are he did something that looked publicly embarrassing that could sway people and at the very least have a whole lot of people mocking him and calling him an idiot because what he did on the chronology of events is he did that thing with the microphones and recorders and then became the first name I think, in American sports to test positive for this virus. I don't know that anyone else in athletics has tested positive, and the next result is the entire league shuts down. Somebody tweeted, I can't give the credit now because I don't remember who it is, he should win Defensive Player of the League. He just shut the whole league down.
Of the year. Depoy.
Thank you, Stugotz. That is correct. I've got to get the credit for that because that is not my joke. That is somebody else's joke.
Conference USA canceled.
Okay, so what is going to happen here? Are we not going to have any sports to talk about tomorrow? Beginning tomorrow, are we not going to have any sports to talk about?
St. John's up 3-2 over Creighton.
Ooh, in game.
Don Le Batard.
Deion Sanders is the best to ever do it. I think we've talked to you before briefly. I don't know how. At one point, you had gone public saying you had a sex addiction, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Stugotz.
No, that wasn't me. That was another guy. Ain't no sex addiction. I love sex just as much as you love sex. Ain't no addiction. You're like, I'm a sexaholic or something. You try to get a confession out of me.
I feel like I've talked to you about that before.
No, that wasn't me. That was the other Sanders. That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show, plus our Miami-only hour and our Best of podcast on demand in the ESPN app, and subscribe to the Le Batard and Friends podcast network featuring South Beach Sessions, Stupidity, and Mystery Crate. Please rate and subscribe. New episodes are posted every week wherever you get your podcasts.
What is Boomer Esiason saying on Twitter? If you're getting your coronavirus information from people in sports, I'm very sorry that that's what you're doing. You shouldn't be doing that. You should get it from people more informed than the people in sports, as everything is getting canceled. But what is Boomer Esiason doing on Twitter?
I think it's fair to say sports is done for a while. All of it. Hashtag COVID-19.
All right, so now you have heard from Boomer Esiason on this subject. Also, J.A. Adande, the former sports writer who is now a college professor, is saying on Twitter that, quote, rather than refunding the ticket, give the money to the arena workers whose paychecks are going to take a hit. It's literally disposable income for the people who bought the tickets. It isn't for the people who need to work these events to pay their bills. What do you think of that, Stugotz?
I don't know if that's the exact right solution for this, because for some people, they spend beyond their means. They might need that money back. They might need it for something else. So I don't know if that's an exact, it sounds good in theory, and I want the arena employees to be paid like everyone else, and I think Mark Cuban is doing a fantastic job.
You just don't want it with your money. You want it with Mark Cuban's money, not your money.
Don't spend someone else's money is what I'm trying to say.
I am with you, but say it more forcefully. You're sitting on both sides of the fence because you're afraid to go after the little people.
You lobbed it up to him. You could have thrown out your take, too, there.
I was
right,
wait, you're not familiar with the formula of this show? I throw it to him, he bails on the serious stuff or takes the safest route, and then we pounce. How do you not remember the way that we do the show?
These are different times, though, Dan.
No, they're not different times.
They're different times, man. These are uncharted territory we're in right now.
He started waffling instead of just saying the correct thing, which is J.A. Adande is out of his mind.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to tell Boomer that he's out of his mind because, St. John's Creighton 11-11 first half right now. Sports is going on.
So that's the only sport going on right now outside of golf.
Yeah.
And that Big East tournament is happening where? In Madison Square Garden?
I believe so, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, who owns Madison Square Garden?
James Dolan is going to get his victory wherever it is. It isn't anywhere on the floor in the last 20 years, but he's going to get his victory as he's still arguing. Woj reporting last night that the Knicks were one of the few teams who were arguing, the only team, according to the report from Woj, arguing that they shouldn't change their business practices until forced to do so by the government.
Now, back to J.A. for a second. I think that it sounds good in theory, but give people the choice. If they want to do away with that income so we can go to arena employees, fantastic. But if they don't, give them their money back.
Man, I don't want to give my money up right now. Everything's changing 10 minutes at a time. I don't know if I'm going to need that money back for something. I may have to pay $50 for toilet paper at this point. I don't know.
You already have to pay $100 for hand sanitizer.
Yeah, I suggest you guys start following this Creighton St. John's game because we're going to need something to talk about.
I've got a good story to tell you that doesn't have anything to do with this about my morning that I'm going to tell you in the next segment. I think you guys are going to be amused by the general suffering that there was in my morning that puts me in a shameful position, embarrassed, and I'm going to get to that in 10 minutes. But I want to put on the poll, Guillermo, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. How many of you remembered, or not how many of you, did you remember last night that Fred Hoiberg coached Nebraska because he looked like he was about to puke on the sidelines? Because I had forgotten that Fred Hoiberg, and I'm surprised you haven't said the mayor here, the number of times that I've said Fred Hoiberg, you're asleep at the wheel.
Spoiler alert.
I don't know. What were you looking at? Are you in-game betting? Like, what were you looking at that you weren't paying attention when I just lobbed you Fred Hoiberg 3 times?
The Johnnies.
Okay.
Up 2.
All right. So you're just watching a game on your computer.
I mean, it's the only game on.
So Fred Hoiberg was on the sidelines. I can't think, actually, given the general hysteria in this country right now and globally, really, because it's officially a pandemic now. I can't think of a worse look than a coach like bent over on the sidelines after having been taken to the hospital, right? He'd already gone to the hospital and he was on the sidelines looking like he was nauseous and in physical pain. And then next thing you know, his 7-24 football team that just added a couple of football players because it's so decimated to play in the game was quarantined. His entire locker room is quarantined. And then the report comes back that it's merely the flu. And I got to be honest with you, it looks like the flu is a hell of a lot worse than the coronavirus, right? I feel like you've got a situation here because of how this looked, Stugotz, how it looked visually, that it appeared that Fred Hoiberg was under poisoned pain.
It looked horrible. It was such a terrible look. Now, Dan, he was doing that, and then they took him to the hospital after. He didn't go there, then come back and sit on the bench like that.
Okay, because the timeline I had in front of me actually had the hospitalization, the hospital visit happening before the look of sickness.
There were a couple of bad looks last night, which is why I think, besides the obvious, why sports is being canceled. You had Fred Hoiberg and that look, him on the Nebraska bench, and then you had the look, and man, did it look terrible. But you had a referee or you had an official running out to midcourt right before the Jazz game to pull all the players off the court.
Right? It was a trainer. Yes. A trainer. That is where this thing. It wasn't actually Tom Hanks. For the sports fans among us, that is where this thing became sort of alarmist, where you've got an arena full of people.
Right.
You have a doctor running out right before tip-off. And then you get the news that the guy who was touching all the microphones and touching all the recorders had tested positive for the coronavirus.
There's a ACC official right now speaking to an audience of people.
But we believe that it's the right decision to make at this particular point in time. You can ask, why was it not made sooner? It's a fair question. The answer is that it's an extraordinarily fluid situation with information coming to us that changes. I used to say by the week, then I said by the day, and now I say by the hour. So hopefully we're doing the right thing in the context of this great country of ours and in the context of intercollegiate sports. So thank you for your understanding.
That guy has commissioner's hair.
Swafford? Is that
Swafford?
Is that Swafford? Is Swafford still the ACC commissioner?
He's been the ACC commissioner forever.
Swafford is still the ACC commissioner? That's it? No more ACC games?
Creighton up 1.
Dan Le Batard.
Anybody remember the late 60s singer Oliver? He had a couple of hits, including Good Morning, Starshine. That guy? He is the brother of ACC Commissioner John Swafford.
Stugotz.
Now who didn't contribute?
Oh, you saved the show.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your Sports Center update. The Pac-12 and ACC have canceled its basketball tournament, leaving the Big East as the only conference currently playing. The Champions League matches involving Manchester City, Real Madrid, and Juventus Lyon have been postponed. PGA Tour events will continue as scheduled, but without fans as of tomorrow at the Players through the Valero Texas Open. And finally, Warner Brothers have been scorned after an advertisement for It Chapter 2 featured in between tracks on a playlist called Classic Lullabies, including songs for children on Spotify. A listener flagged their complaint after hearing the character of Pennywise the Clown in a song break. Vivid Seats, the top ticket source for the live events you crave, now is a loyalty program that allows fans to earn credit back. Go to the App Store or Google Play, download the Vivid Seats app, and enter promo code ESPN25 for 10% off your next order. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
The first thing that I have to do right now is welcome in a whole lot of new listeners right now who thought they were getting the ACC tournament. The second thing I have to do is apologize to you profusely that this is what you've gotten when what you were expecting is that, because this is going to be jarring for you. We will get to an Adam Schefter tweet in a second, but this is a story I promised to tell last segment about what happened this morning, and it has nothing to do with the coronavirus. It has nothing to do with serious reporting all over ESPN. It has nothing to do with the ACC tournament. If you want serious coronavirus information, I am telling you, you can go ahead and leave now, and should, because this is not the place for you. Get yourself informed in places that are much better equipped to handle this than we are and that this is. But if you want to hear a story about my morning, this is the place for you, because I was embarrassed this morning. And I'm about to tell you how I was embarrassed. And I'm about to tell you that all of these people out there who have had an encounter with a person in sports or a celebrity or someone that you wanted to meet and you were disappointed by that encounter, sometimes it's because of the thing that happened to me this morning, which is I had to poop. And this is a story that's going to take a minute to tell. But let me explain to you that one of the worst things that can happen to you when you have to go to the bathroom this way and you've got sort of an urgency about you is for an elevator to be broken.
Oof.
And have to climb a whole lot of stairs, okay? So,
tough break.
Yeah, I'm about to tell you a story. Now, I live in an apartment building, and I live high up in an apartment building, so it's a lot of stairs. And I was coming back with breakfast for me and my wife, so now I have to climb a lot of stairs in order to get where I'm going. And it's through a staircase that I never use, never have to use, in a building that is old Art Deco. And so now I'm walking upstairs that, probably haven't been cleaned in 70 years. And spring breakers are all over the place right now. So there is the smell of human urine and poop in the stairs.
How'd your body react to climbing stairs for the first time?
Okay, so here's the reaction, because I had to climb up and down stairs, because what ended up happening to me is as soon as I got to my floor, the door was locked. I didn't have my cell phone, so getting close to the place I thought I was getting to, yes, I now have
never felt further away.
I know. Now I have to go back downstairs, and I got a total panic situation. Now, this is the part you guys are going to find funny. As I'm in the lobby of my apartment building, I am now looking for, is there a bathroom somewhere here that I've never used that I don't have access to? There's nobody downstairs. I don't have my phone. I'm just penguin walking at this point. Okay.
With breakfast in your hand.
Breakfast, as others pronounce it. And so
that's the way I pronounce it.
For the life of me, I can never understand why you can't say that.
It's a tough one. I can't say it. Anyway, go on with the story.
So, Here's a part of the story, okay? I'm in a lobby area, and I am now just opening doors in a lobby area that I have not been in before because they're like hallways and stuff. I'm opening doors, hoping that something here is a bathroom.
Praying.
Praying that something is a bathroom. And now, I'm not making this up. I open the door to what is an apartment.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
And it's an apartment that the first thing I see when I walk in is an open door with a toilet.
No,
oh, my God. Your mouth was watering.
No, you can't do this.
Trespassing.
No.
Trespassing. Wow.
Please tell me you did it.
Don't, dude.
Please tell me you did it.
That is such an invasion. A literal invasion of privacy.
I did not do it.
Oh, you
thank
stink.
God.
What?
Thank God. Well, he might, actually, literally.
I did not do it, but I thought about it. And I thought about it hard because I was reaching a panic situation. And I thought about it hard. And the thing that dissuaded me is only the idea that I could be shot trespassing and it would be a horrible way to go. I'm not joking that the thought occurred to me. I'm like, the toilet's right there. And if you've ever had to do this, I'm telling you, this is your stomach starts gurgling and your body sort of wants to go do it when there's a toilet right there.
I'm surprised you were able to process consequences at that point.
I was I was horrified. I was embarrassed. I could not have someone walking in and shooting me because I had trespassed. It would have been a horrible way to go. I had actually decided in my head, I will take the shame of someone walking in on me in their apartment and being shocked by me being there, except I can't do that in Miami where people are armed and this would be trespassing.
Under this horrible, tragic hypothetical, I think I might have been able to explain what had happened if just given the information that you were found dead in someone else's bathroom.
Okay, because it would have been quite the mystery, right? Just me with breakfast on the floor and using a toilet to an apartment I did not belong in and I didn't even know existed before I just twisted on a door and these people happened to have their apartment open.
That's the way Vinny Vega got it, right?
Kind of like that, right? That's exactly right. It would have been Pulp Fiction.
I mean, imagine you're a man, you don't know the marital situation. You walk in and there's Dan Le Batard using your bathroom.
Mike, so many consequences to this, but that toilet was calling me. It really was.
But you didn't use it. So what did you do?
Okay, hold on. I'm getting to that. All right.
Quick update. Creighton 27, St. John's 25.
Again, apologies if you arrived here expecting ACC basketball and are now just met with a story about a gas bag thinking about using a toilet that wasn't.
We got you though with the Big East update.
So because I am next to also a hotel, I'm like, okay, this isn't a great situation. This is also not a great hotel. But I now have to walk through a herd of those tourists that are here for that continental breakfast.
Yeah.
And I have to find a toilet in this particular place where a lot of people are eating.
Mm-hmm.
I go through there. I see two doors, and I'm confused because it's not one of these places that just put women or men on the door. It's a couple of ornate art figures that are meant to represent men and women, and I can't tell the difference.
Jesus, at this point, just walk through a door.
Okay, well, this is what I tried to do. The first door, locked. I assume someone's in there. I'm like, okay, I'll use the women's. I have to at this point. Also locked. And I think it feels like they're locked in a way that it's not someone that's in there. These are just not bathrooms that are available to the public because all around here on South Beach, you got a bunch of hotels who don't want wandering poopers. Like you got a bunch of hotels that don't want you anywhere near the place.
Trying to keep you out.
So now I walk to the next hotel and I am at this point, Stugotz, penguin walking. Like my feet are not walking the way normal people walk. It's not even moving the way Zion Williamson does. I am basically just trying to keep my knees close together as I'm walking on Ocean Drive.
I have to be honest. I am amazed and impressed that you held it in that long.
It was hard. It was hard. And it's because my choice is to be in that, what was the name of the movie where the woman in the wedding dress had to just poop in the street,
Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids. Thank you. So I don't want that to be the case. I don't want to be on Ocean Drive just having pooped myself.
Also, considering the state of affairs right now, a sweaty man who's like
Exactly.
penguin walking,
Panicked.
defecating all over himself in the street
Panicked.
would be a panic situation for any sort of crowd.
That's right. And so now I want you guys to understand where this story started.
Was your wife wondering where the food was?
Yes, she was wondering where I was. But I didn't have a phone, and I had been very close to the place I needed to be, but all the doors in my life are locked. Now, again, if you're here for ACC basketball, I apologize for the last 8 minutes of this story. I apologize in general for my existence. I apologize for how foul my stomach was this morning.
But I got Big East updates for you. The Johnnies just took a 1-point lead over Creighton, 28-27.
So I started this story by telling you that any time that you have run into a person that you wanted to meet and one of your heroes has disappointed you, sometimes there are things going on in their lives that might not just be rudeness, condescension, or arrogance. Sometimes something has just landed wrong in their stomach. So as I'm walking to this next hotel in what I believe to be freedom and what would turn out to be freedom, I walk past a couple and the woman yells at me these words. I'm not even kidding. It would have been fine if it had been my name, but it's not even my name. It's, hey, you're that guy. And I'm like, strained and penguin walking, and I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy. What guy? And I'm walking away, and she's like, hold on a second. Let's take a picture. And I'm like, I can't. And I'm moving, not particularly quickly, but painfully. And I say to her as I'm leaving, I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. And I ask, what guy? And she's like, we watch you every day. We don't know your name.
Stugotz here. People do amazing things every day, so it makes no sense that they shouldn't feel confident about doing their taxes. TurboTax believes that with the right tools and encouragement, people can do anything, even taxes. And with TurboTax Live, you even have access to CPAs and EAs on demand who are available to answer your questions or to give advice on how to file, even on nights and weekends. So you can do your taxes with ease and confidence and never feel stuck or alone during the tax process. You can also rest assured that you'll get your best possible outcome, which means you can file your taxes quickly and easily and get back to all those amazing things people do every day. TurboTax. All people are tax people.
Don Le Batard.
I'm pulled over, and I'm there with the police officer, and the police officer's outside my window, and a guy drives by in the opposite lane here, okay?
Yeah.
Stugotz.
He yells... Why are you laughing already? I haven't even gotten to the good part of the story.
Just the visual. And I know
no, it gets better. It gets better. The guy's driving by and he goes, appreciate you, man. And he's hanging out of the car. And so I'm getting the ticket and I'm waving at him. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. And then he yells back at me, I was talking to the police officer.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Today on ESPN Daily, the NBA suspended its season after a player tested positive for the coronavirus. The NCAA tournament will be played in empty arenas, and the outbreak's reach continues to grow. ESPN's Tisha Thompson weighs in on the impact. ESPN Daily, presented by ADT. Download, subscribe, and review. ESPN Daily, available wherever you enjoy your podcast.
Stugotz, what did Adam Schefter end up tweeting?
It's just amazing because this is in the middle of a sea of coronavirus tweets and cancellations and NCAA conference tournaments being canceled. And in the middle of all of that is one lonely little Schefter tweet.
What are you laughing about, Mike? Why are you laughing?
Well, in the middle of all of this going on is the eventual 30 for 30 that's going to be made about this St. John's Creighton game.
It's amazing. Schefter, in the middle of the sea, okay? A sea of coronavirus updates and cancellations. Schefter tweets out, the Titans inform running back Dion Lewis they are releasing him. It's a tough day for Dion, Mike and I were saying. I mean, it's just
Had a bad day.
you take a bad day and you make it worse.
Well, I really feel like what's most fair here is if sports are going to stop, we should stop releasing people during the stoppage of sports.
That should also be suspended.
Yes.
Let's suspend hurting people's feelings or taking away their careers and their contracts while everything is up in the air. But Adam Schefter's still out here working, and I suspect that he's going to continue to report football news over the next few days. I really do want to see what ESPN looks like for the next month, as sports close down and might be closing down for a good amount of time.
Well, Boomer Esiason says it is, except for St. John's and Creighton. But are we really going to announce $150 million contracts next week for NFL free agency? Like, is that what we're going to do?
Well, because that's not affected by the coronavirus.
Well, the collective bargaining agreement hasn't been agreed to. We don't really know. Part of the Tom Brady situation is the Patriots are having difficulty negotiating a contract without knowing what the CBA is.
Mike, before the hysteria of the last 24 hours, Richard Sherman was eating here at the Clevelander because evidently some players are in town as part of all that union stuff. Can you just look out the window out there and see tomorrow more than today? Because I think it's cleared out a little bit. The streets are a little quieter. Everything just feels a little different today than it felt 24 hours ago. But we really should keep an eye on the Clevelander pool just to see what kind of guests we can possibly get over the next couple of days just because guys are in town.
Or for some possible vaccine, because there are antibodies in there.
I have to think that that sports, when they stop like this, that they'll stop for play. But I don't think football free agency will stop. Do you? Like, what would prevent maybe guys getting on planes for recruiting visits? That might be something that
maybe
people aren't doing. But I got to think if the free agent frenzy, if you're talking about millions of dollars, if you're talking about Tom Brady's availability and whether or not he can sign immediately, I got to think that teams are going to try and pounce on whatever it is the opportunities are that this is a cutthroat place. It's survival of the fittest. When you're arguing, fighting over dollars, that oftentimes, no matter how indelicate it feels or uncomfortable it feels, that money wins.
Yeah, I have no doubt that we'll do it. Will it feel right to certain people, to announce that Tom Brady got...
Well, ESPN needs something. Right. ESPN needs something for content. We need to
NFL free agency is certainly something.
We need to be talking about something. There are a whole lot of networks here involved that need the content. Sports networks, as businesses take these big giant hits. And it'll be interesting to see what this particular small part of the playground feels like over the next month.
This has to be the highest rated Big East Conference tournament ever, right? I mean,
never has there been a game being played at 12:53 in the afternoon that has had so much attention.
And the Johnny's up 3.5.
Did you guys see how Joel Embiid celebrated somebody else's dunk yesterday? Because someone else dunked, and the guy defending it fell to the ground on his back, and Joel Embiid got over him and did the crotch chop of Pete Weber, like right over him. It was an amazing taunt. It also should have ended in a fine and a suspension because that can end up in a brawl where you get hit over the head with a dustpan. Like, honestly, you can't be doing stuff like that. That's that disrespectful, no matter how disrespectful you are as Joel Embiid.
Talk to you tomorrow?
I don't want to go off the air, Mike. I want to just stick around here to see who at ESPN is going to use us for the next month when there's nothing to talk about and they need Michael Doliak songs on the worldwide leader in sports.